Stephen Jones joining us now here on 105.3 The Fan. And a good afternoon, sir. How the heck are you?
I'm doing really good. How you guys doing?
Man, we're outstanding. You know, how you feeling about your roster after week one? Looked like you were pretty close to the champs.
Well, we like our roster, and I think it's I actually love everything about our team. Let's start with Coach Schottenheimer. I think he's just been outstanding, and of course, anytime you go into your first game with a new coach who's calling plays and a new defensive coordinator, a new special teams coordinator, a lot of new players, there's a lot of unknowns. So, you're never satisfied with losing a football game, but you did see the makings of what this team can be between, their physicality, their play style, their energy. I think if we continue to build on that, then we got a chance to be a really good football team, and it's going to start Sunday against the Giants.
You know, so much of it comes down to, can you stop the run and can you run? Connor Riley talked about that in part of our draft coverage, months ago now, but I thought you guys took big steps in the right direction with both those things.
Absolutely. I mean, I love our group between Clayton and Connor, what they're doing with that offensive group. It's a young group, I think, with a lot of upside in terms of where they can go as a unit, playing together, executing. I think it's all in front of them. And obviously between Tyler Guyton, between Tyler Booker and BB, you're talking about guys with less than 2 years of experience. And Booker, obviously a rookie. I think as they continue to work together, they're only going to get better. And I like the depth in the line and, feel good in general about the direction with their leadership.
You guys had Jadeveon Clowney in earlier this week. How was that visit, and is the door closed on that, or is that potentially something we could circle back to and get added to the roster?
Absolutely, it's open. We had a great visit with him. He wanted to come in and see what we're about. Obviously, he's the true ultimate veteran, and I think that was a get-to-know-you session. He wanted to get to know what our organization's about, Coach Schottenheimer and his staff, and Coach Whitecotton and Flus. Wanted to see the facilities, get a feel for us. And I think he came away very positive, and we came away, from our get to know you, we came away very positive as well. I mean, I think, after losing Mike, he can do a lot of things to help us. We lost him, but as you mentioned, in terms of running the ball, I thought we did a great job running it, and then stopping the run was the big thing. And other than, Hurt, who's obviously good at making yardage off scrambling, I thought we did a good job stopping it. And then it all started with Kenny Clark in terms of what he's bringing to the table. But to add a piece like Jadeveon, I think could really be helpful to us, and we'll see where that goes here over the next few days.
Hey, Stephen, if I can kind of follow up back about, was that just him wanting to visit you guys, or was there something that you guys saw through training camp and then into week one that made you feel like that you needed to talk to an edge?
I just felt like, after we as an organization felt like, anytime you lose a piece like Micah, and don't replace it right away, we certainly added to the interior with Kenny, but we're obviously missing something there on the outside. We felt like that was a strength, in spite of the fact we're losing Micah with the group we have there. But when you have the opportunity to bring a guy in like him, and we did a lot of film work on him, leading up to this, and really felt like he can bring something that can be very helpful to us. I think he's very disruptive. He certainly has production as well. And, it's not like we're going to ask him to go in there and play 60 plays. We want to get, a number of pass rushes out of him every game and a number of really good plays. And we think he can be disruptive on those and could make a difference if we could figure out how to get him signed and get him on this football team.
Stephen, was it a difficult decision? And you were talking about Guyton just a little bit ago about how he played and stuff. Was it a difficult decision for you guys with Guyton not having a lot of preseason work and Nate Thomas having a pretty darn good camp Was it pretty difficult to have to make that decision on who started left tackle against the Eagles?
Well, that's a great problem to have, and I 1,000% agree. Nate Thomas had one hell of a camp, and that's what you hope happens when you want a young guy, especially, step up like Nate did what he did. But at the same time, Guyton was having such a special camp and like what he does. But everybody between Steele and Guyton, they need to do their job every week because Nate Thomas is ready to play. He's prepared to play. And as I said, not only do I like her starting five, I love her depth. And, between TJ and, obviously Nate Thomas and Hoffman there at the center position. And then, the other depth we have, Adeniji and that crew. I just like the whole group.
Stephen, you opened the door for me. I'm going to walk through it. How about with Steele? Could we see Nate Thomas maybe working at some right tackle? That give you really a power piece over on that right side.
Yeah, I think, at the end of the day, that's what we want to do with Nate. We want him to be our swing tackle and put pressure on the guys who are starting and, to just continue to get better and play. Now, same time, I think Tyler Guyton and Terrence Steele are up for a challenge.
Sure.
And they're not going to back down, and that's what we like about both of them. And that's why I like our offensive line group as a whole. And but I do think Thomas is going to put pressure on both guys as far as that goes. And certainly the idea is that he could swing at either tackle.
Stephen, what does a guy like Jaden Blue need to do in order to earn his way onto the game day roster?
Well, he started with a great week of practice. That's where it starts. And, unfortunately, he missed a lot of camp. And when you're a rookie, that's difficult, when you miss, some serious time in camp. Is getting your hands around and getting the coaches confident you can execute. But I think he answered the bell this week, and I think he's got an opportunity to be somebody who can really bring some juice to our offense and be somebody that can really help us. And I don't know if it's going to be this week, but if not this week, I'm sure he's going to be pushing. And the other thing he can bring is some juice to our special teams group as well. So we're fired up about that and what he can do for us.
How much did Kenny Clark change fundamentally who the Cowboys are on defense?
Well, I think he just anytime you bring a Pro Bowl type player, which he is, and an all-pro type player for that matter, and what he brings to the room, the locker room, but also the defensive line front in there with Solomon Thomas, that was a big piece for us. Everybody says, well, could you have had another pick or two? What we were wanting was that interior piece, and that was a big part of that trade. And when we got, to get him along with the 2 ones, which were a big part of the trade, that really kind of made our decision for us, and he's going to make a difference all year.
How about the freaking legs on that guy?
Oh, the guy's built for action. He's built for the interior line in the NFL, which we all know is not for the faint-hearted. That's where, as Jerry likes to say, that's where real football is. That stuff around the edges with the skill guys, it's a whole different sport than what those interior guys do inside.
Jerry was visiting with the media earlier and mentioned it certainly could lead to the team being more aggressive in free agency in the future after the Micah trade. And I know fans are looking like, oh my gosh, look at all the salary cap space we have to play with here, Stephen. Do you envision that also being the case moving forward, or do you guys kind of have this stuff earmarked so far in the future where, hey, we got X, Y, and Z we also need to pay?
Well, it's already starting to happen with Bland, and I see it as a combination. I see it as obviously you feel great about getting Bland done. It's obviously been out there that we're working on Tyler Smith. You see a Lepke, which would have been a casualty if, you're having to put as many resources as it takes to sign the top guys in the league. It lets you look at it, improving your unit, Jadeveon Clowney. And that's why I think when Jerry says, you're talking about trading one guy who is elite, no one should ever underestimate the fact that we didn't understand that Mike is elite. I mean, he is. But when you start comparing one player to 5, 6 players and what that is, then that starts to make more sense in terms of what we're looking at. But obviously, if you had Micah, you wouldn't be looking at Clowney right now. Obviously, we get a great piece inside, and in Clark. So, it's starting to add up already. What happens when while you're talking about multiple players versus one player.
Watching the game last night in Green Bay in Week 1, it seems like if the Packers did go on a Super Bowl run, the Cowboys might be the most mentioned team of that game as well.
Well, that's what comes with it, and we understand that. And like I said, certainly Mike is a great football player, and we knew that when we made the deal. But that's part of the business we're in, and we understand that.
Is he firing guys up over there with how he's talking and dancing? And he's got a lot to say, doesn't he?
Well, we'll let Micah be Micah. We got to worry about the Dallas Cowboys, and it starts Sunday against the Giants.
I like it. Stephen Jones here with you on 105.3 The Fan. Is it a difficult negotiation potentially with Clowney because of his age and injury history and what he's been paid in the past?
Well, all those things are just a part of any negotiation. It's the full body of work's looked at when you decide to pay a player, and with that comes, age, injury. With that comes how disruptive and productive a player is. Those are all things that get factored into where you ultimately come up with a number.
What would you say is probably the biggest misconception that we have from the outside looking in when it comes to these contract talks?
I think just I think the biggest is you can't just flip a switch and think the deal gets done. And they're doing in their mind they have a process they go through, and there's agents who want to be really slow to trigger and believe that, hey, if I don't get a deal this year, waiting another year as long as my guy, doesn't have something catastrophic type injury or something, they're right. Usually the number goes up, and they're just not. They're certainly not intentional to get in there and get something done. And obviously, the bigger the contracts, which we've been through lately, between probably like no other team, between having two of the top non-quarterback players in the NFL and Dak, those things have a lot of moving parts to it. And I'd say that's probably the biggest thing I hear or see out there, that people just think you can say, okay, we're going to get this contract done today. That's just not how it works anymore. And there's a lot of moving parts to it. And, the timing's got to be right. And, sometimes that takes, time to get things done.
Stephen, we all sit there every week and watch Brandon Aubrey make field goals from the middle of the field, the logo, all day. And I was just wondering, there's not a great history of kickers and negotiations and stuff. Is there something you go off of? Do you have an idea? It seems like a really difficult position to have to pay because of the unknown.
Well, I think the biggest thing is these kickers keep getting better and better, the pool of them. I mean, they're very accurate. They're very good at what they do. More and more, they have most of them have great leg strength, and but there's always differentiators. Certainly, no doubt that our guy has performed as good as anyone in this business over the last 2 or 3 years, and there's certainly precedent for those who perform at high levels, and then there's the next level down, and believe me, you get into the the finite detail of this stuff, and it's certain. Then you got to decide, is that worth it to pay a premium, for analytically, more yardage, percentage, all the things that would go into a kicker, and those are all things that we'll evaluate when it comes to our kicker.
All right, Stephen, how nervous should we be about this DaRon Bland injury? I feel like we're snake bitten here. We can't get him and Bland out there.
I really do think we're going to be fine. You hate it when any injury happens, but it was a freak injury in terms of, how he did it. But we feel really good that it's going to be of the short end of the stick in terms of how much time we'll miss. Hopefully not more than a couple games.
Obviously, that's a next man up situation. What makes Reddy Stewart the guy over, say, Zion Childress?
I think it's just, he's done it. He's been with Flus, and, that's where they're comfortable right now. I love Zion Childress too. I think he's a football player. I think he's a baller, and I think he'd do a good job as well. And but you're right, it's next man up, and there's a good chance Zion's going to be dressed out for this game and be a part of this. And but we have a lot of confidence in Coach Flus and his staff to get the right guys out there and then get them in the right spot to win the football game.
All right, Stephen, I got to, before we let you go, I got to give you some props, and I got to eat some crow because at camp I said I didn't think you guys would ever let go of a star player, and the agents were exploiting that, and you said I was about 90% wrong, and I believe you guys showed what you had a couple of weeks ago there.
Well, you got to always be willing to do what's best for the organization, and you're always going to have people who don't, who are going to have second thoughts on that. Not everybody's going to be 100% in agreement, but I'll also tell you that we spent a lot of time on this, and it evolved over time, and it was full body of work, and we felt like we did the best thing for our organization, and wish Micah nothing but the best.
Cowboys Giants Sunday at noon. Give him hell, Stephen. We'll be pulling for you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
There he goes.